الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I want to start by saying it's a great honor and pleasure for me personally to be here with you all today. Because it is a very significant moment, and I congratulate all of you very heartily, both the students who finished, the students who are on the way, the students who are starting, and their parents. There's nothing better for us to be gathered than a gathering of sacred knowledge, and a gathering for us to take a moment and reflect on the gift that Allah has blessed us with. And there's nothing at all in the whole world, there's nothing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed the Prophet ﷺ to ask for more of other than knowledge. Allah said to him in the Holy Quran, وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. Say, O Prophet, my Lord, increase me in knowledge. Not wealth and not strength and not muscles and not homes and not prestige and not followers, knowledge. And so knowledge is the inheritance of the prophets. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ كَمَنْ مَثَلُهُ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ لَيْسَ بِخَارِجٍ مِنْهَا. Is someone who was dead, and we brought him to life, and we gave him a light with which he moves amongst people, like someone who is in darknesses and he doesn't know how to get out of them. This is the example of prophetic knowledge. Because what you all have is in this time you've spent with your teachers, may Allah bless them and reward them and be pleased with them and keep always the love amongst you connected, because it's through that love you'll keep benefiting. Through your time with your teachers, a bit of light has entered your heart. Now what's the meaning of light? Light is the thing through which things become palpable. If this room was dark, I wouldn't know, are people here or are we sitting in an empty room? Unless you guys speak, of course. With the light on, I can see everything. If it's dark, I wouldn't know how to make my way to the door without bumping into everything. With the light on, I walk really calmly. That's the difference of someone with knowledge and without knowledge. With knowledge, you have clarity. You read some argument of some atheist on the paper, other people get stuck, they get confused, they get pain, they don't know what to do. You have clarity. You said, yes, I've studied this argument, and this is what it's based on. This is what our scholars have said. You can help others, and you can easily walk when other people are tripping over. This is what sacred knowledge is. You come to a moment in your life, and there'll be something to do, or a contract to sign, or a food to eat, or an invitation to attend, and people won't know, should I go there? Is it a good place? Is it a bad place? Is it halal? Is it haram? This website, that website, the other website. You have clarity. You say, well, I've studied this. I know who my teachers are. I'm going to find the answer. It's really straightforward. You can live life with comfort. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about knowledge as أَفَمَنْ شَرَحَ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. The idea of knowledge is you feel it's easy to breathe. Everything is open. Everything is easy. You're not constricted. The world doesn't confuse you. You bring clarity into the world. And so that's what knowledge is. It's a bit of light. But what do we do with light? On the day of judgment, all the believers will have some degree of light. نُورُهُمْ يَسْعَى بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَبِأَيْمَانِهِمْ. On the judgment day, the followers of the Prophet ﷺ, يَوْمَ لَا يُخْزِي اللَّهُ النَّبِيَّ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. On the day of judgment, Allah will aid and be with the Prophet ﷺ and his followers, and they'll have light going forwards and light going to the right side. And on Judgment Day, they're making dua for more light. رَبَّنَا أَتْمِمْ لَنَا نُورَنَا وَاغْفِرْ لَنَا. Oh Allah, complete our light and forgive us. So on Judgment Day, they're talking about give us more light. So all that we have to do when you have a little bit of light, the worst thing you can do is act like it's not there. The worst thing you can do is just put it in your pocket and think it's going to stay there. It's not going to stay there. If you don't look after the light, it's going to slowly lose some of its shine. And so the only job we all have, all of us, is to protect our light. That's it. We only have one job. How do we protect the light? How do we allow this light to grow? Because none of us here have all of knowledge. None of us here have the ability to just walk out of the room really quickly. We all have a little bit, we have more clarity than others. But now we're on the beginning of a journey. And so at this step, my advice to myself and all of you is you have to recognize the gift. The gift of Iman, billahi wa bi rasulihi. The gift of this opportunity for the parents and for the children to have an opportunity like this. There's many children in this country that simply don't have the opportunity to have such forms of very good quality, very relevant, very grounded, very inspiring education. It's not easy to find. Some of you might have found in your doorstep what other people are migrating across the world trying to find, and they still don't find it. This is a gift from Allah. We have to be grateful. Don't assume that it just happened to you by accident. So moments like this are important because they allow us to stop and reflect. And we have to be grateful, the parents, children, everyone here, for the gift we have of this moment, the gift of this knowledge. And all that comes next, my advice to the students especially, is you have to protect your light. If you don't protect your light, you will be sad as the years go on, and you'll think, I used to know, I had a great time, and I forgot it. It's a memory and I don't remember what it was anymore. You have to make sure you protect it with everything that you have. And I'm going to give you some tips, very basic tips, of how to protect your light. Among these tips, it might sound very strange to you all, is teaching. One of the greatest things that happened in my life that allowed me to keep, the various steps I've taken is I was encouraged very early on to teach. To teach in safe ways, to teach in safe environments, to teach under the eye of my teachers. The Prophet ﷺ urged people to convey. He was once sitting on his camel in his farewell Hajj, and he said to them, what day is this? They said, it's the day of Eid al-Adha. He said, what month is this? And they said, it's the month of Dhul Hijjah. He said, what city is this? And they said, this is Mecca. Then he said, Allah has made your wealth, your life, your honor as forbidden amongst you, meaning as sacred, as He made this day, in this month, in this year, in this city. Meaning the honor of a Muslim is as sacred as Mecca. So that's what he was saying. Protect this. And then he said at the end of this, he said, convey these words to others who haven't been here today. And they might understand it better than you. So you don't convey it as if to show off. You convey it because they might be the ones who benefit more than we do. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, convey what you've heard from me, even if all you've heard is a verse. So however strange this might sound, if you're going to go on from here into universities or in your high schools, with the guidance of your teachers, make a small study circle, read some book together, share some notes, stay connected to your teachers but pass on something. If you pass on something, you'll never forget it. If you pass on something, you'll think it's as if you're learning for a second time. And you'll call your teacher, what does this mean? I had this note, I don't understand this. And that's where you really grow. So don't be shy to benefit people. And this is the time to take advice and see how you can pass on something of what you learned. This is one way you protect your light. Another way you protect your light, the Prophet ﷺ, he gave a very, very simple and important way to practice knowledge. And he said simply to his grandson, a hadith that he remembered as a child, which is دَعْ مَا يَرِيبُكَ إِلَى مَا لَا يَرِيبُكَ. Leave what gives you doubt, and instead do something else which doesn't give you doubt. As you go on from here, and you go to university, and you go to other places, you will be coming across events, ideas, people, places, and you're not sure, is it a good or a bad thing? Should I do it, should I not do it? Should I eat this, should I not eat this? Should I sit with this guy, should I not sit with this guy? In all of these things, go back to your knowledge and find a way where you feel comfortable. Yes, I'm sure this is right. What you feel doesn't sit right with you, try your best to leave it. Or if you feel you really need it, then that's when you ask your teachers. And that's how knowledge grows. When you give importance to this feeling, I'm not sure it's right, I'm not sure if it's not right, stop for a moment. Ask Allah to guide you. Speak to teachers. Read, go back to the books you've studied and try to find an answer. If that's how you approach things, your knowledge will grow. If instead, when you get these feelings, you ignore them, then the knowledge won't grow from these moments. So it's a very important principle in how knowledge can grow. The other thing is you have to pray. Every single day, the only dua we've been asked to pray is the prayer for guidance, not the prayer for anything else. And so when you read your daily prayers, really bring to a moment when you say, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, oh Allah, really show me. Show me how I can take the next step in my life in a way that pleases you. Because that's the point of all of this knowledge. We can take steps, one after one after one, towards the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So pray to Allah to guide you, pray to Allah to enlighten you, pray to Allah to increase your knowledge, so your light continues. Another thing that's important, especially those who are going on to universities and places where there's a lot of ideas, my advice to you is not to argue with people. See how you can benefit people, see how you can learn from people, but don't get too much involved in arguing. Argumentation is something that can put out the light of knowledge. Rather, what I advise you to do is, you see that the footnote of everything is stay in touch with your teachers. Because your real second journey is your journey in the real world. And to make this next journey really work for you, you've got to keep in touch with your teachers. You say there's such and such a person with such and such an idea, what do you think? Should I talk to him? Should I respond to him? Get advice. And don't jump into debates without any guidance. Because that's something that will only murky up the heart. And it wasn't the way of the Salaf to argue in ilm. Their way was to teach and to say salam. And not get involved in the politics that you might find in the places that you're going to be going to. The goal of all of this knowledge ultimately, as has been said by your teachers before me, the goal of everything, the goal of life, the highest thing you can aspire to is just to be a mirror of your Prophet. The Messenger of Allah is the model of perfection. The only reason we want to learn anything we ever wish to learn is to be a bit more like him. That's it. There's nothing else to it. There's no success. There's no certificate. There's no end. It's just, are you more like him today than yesterday? How about tomorrow? How about the day after? There's nothing else more than this. So whether you aspire to be a great scholar, or whether you want to just preserve what you've learned and now focus on other studies, this particular thing should never stop. The journey to be more like your Prophet, ﷺ. And there's two things I would advise you to do, whatever you wish to do with your lives after this day. The first is you have to strengthen your connection with the Book of Allah. This is absolutely critical. Make sure you're always reciting some Quran every day. Make sure you're always memorizing some Quran. And you can do this. I used to memorize Quran on the train on the way to university. It's really easy. Just keep things, you have phones now. We used to keep little things in our pockets in those days. When you're on the train, you're walking to the university or this college, you're on the bus stop, just keep something with you to memorize Quran as much as you can. Because the Quran you memorize will be your companion in life. There'll be times in your life you're feeling alone or scared or confused. At times like that, the Quran you memorize, you just recite it in the middle of the night, it will give you guidance. You have to believe the Quran has an answer to every question that will ever come to your mind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls it tafsil li kulli shay. The Quran is the detailing of every single thing. And that's why, and Sayyidah Aisha said, the Prophet ﷺ, he was the Quran. His behavior was the behavior of the Quran. One of the ulama, Shaykh Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi, he said, whoever wants to see the Prophet ﷺ, but he was not able to, then he said, what you should do is just read the Quran. And he says, it's as if from the Quran a human being came out called Muhammad ﷺ. This is your Prophet. And he is the Quran. This is his book. And so recite the Quran for this journey that I've described. And really think hard. Allow the Quran to speak to you for all of your life. There's no one book with all of its meanings. It's not possible. The meanings are infinite, like the infinitude of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, my other advice to you, whatever you want to do with your careers, is commit to improving your Arabic. Whatever easy little thing you can do on the side, in your college or in your university, because this will add fuel to your Quranic reflections. Which I said, whatever you do in your life, you have to keep this. So if you can improve your Arabic from wherever you are, recite Quran as much as you can, this will always protect your light. That's a promise. It will always protect your light. Your light will only grow. It will never shrink. The other thing I will say is, about this journey towards the Prophet ﷺ is read the Hadiths. With some regularity in your life, read the Hadiths. Again, when I was at university, I had in my pocket a little pocket 40 Hadith. When I was going back and forth, I would just memorize them. And it's not hard to memorize 40 Hadith or memorize other Hadiths. And what you memorize will stay with you. Recite it often. This is read. These two, don't ever leave them. And the rest, I said, see if you can teach. See how you can stay up with your teachers. Find excuses to set up a little study circle. And find a way to always ask your teachers for guidance, and it will stay with you. The last thing I wanted to say along this is, of course, knowledge has to make us better people. And those who are most worthy of seeing the better side of us are our families. So my advice to all of you is to be as good as you can, children to your parents. As good as you can, siblings to your siblings. As good as you can, neighbors to your neighbors. This is the most basic thing, and you wouldn't have had this opportunity, many of you or not most of you, if your parents weren't encouraging you. And so, my advice is to just be whatever you can to honor them. One of the rewards of memorizing the Quran is what? Is the crown of light that goes on the parents. And that's a reward for the child, i.e. what you should wish is for your parents to be honored because you've become a scholar. That's your gift for them. هنيئا مريئا ولدك عليهما ملابس أنوار من التاج والحلى. Congratulations, O person of the Quran. Your parents have crowns of light and garments of light. فما ظنكم بالنجل عند جزائه أولئك أهل الله والصفوة الملأ. So what do you think the child is going to have? If the parents are all dressed up in light, because the child memorized the Quran, what do you think he's going to have, or she? So my advice is be extremely good to your parents. And we only have so much in this life. And so our honor is to serve our families. The other thing I would advise is, you will be in universities or be in colleges, there'll be a lot of cool kids. And the cool kids will have a lot of respect, and people will want to be like them. All I'll say to you is, you've had experiences they haven't had. You are more of a role model than they should be. So be proud of what you have. And share what you have with people, and keep connections amongst yourselves. The way you preserve your light is you find good friendships. And so you've made friendships here. Do whatever you can to stay in touch with each other. Even if some people go to a university in London, someone else goes off to Leeds, stay in touch. Make your whatever groups on whatever platform suits you. Come back to High Wycombe on the same time and spend time with each other. You will be as strong as your company. The biggest thing I can say to protect your light is, find company which is good for your light. Stay away, don't get too close to people who don't give any importance to what you've learned. You represent something higher. Keep in mind this, when you're around your friends, wherever you are, what would my teachers do? What would they say? What would they think? If you keep doing it like that, you will become a model of them. And so I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just some of the advice I wanted to share on the importance of the light you have, the importance of protecting this light, and some simple steps we can take to protect this light. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pave for you a beautiful way forwards. Whether you go on to do more Islamic studies, to serve people in teaching and writing and guiding, or whether you go on to other careers, know that your knowledge will help you in all of your careers. Your knowledge will guide you in all of your steps. This knowledge is quite incredible. All you have right now is a seed. But if you tend to it, it's going to become a plant you can't imagine. It will give you ideas in the strangest of ways. You have to protect it. It will make you the best of wherever you're going to be. And wherever you go, and whatever path you take, this knowledge will show you how you can serve this community, serve this ummah, and be a brick of glory in the building of Islam we're trying to build here, where we live. Ask Allah to bless and guide all of you. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve a beautiful tradition of Islam and ilm through all of you. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.